Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Sports Ethos Waiver Wire Show. All right, it's the end of January, and given where we are in the season, that just means that a lot of us, especially those playing in head to head leagues, are probably doing our best to uh, work our way towards that playoff range. And with that, means that we just need to tighten up our game. We means that we need to make sure that the players we're adding are going to provide us with quality games, people to you know boost those key categories that we are hoping that we're going to win. And for a lot of us, for a lot of people out there, it's make or break really, because we're only a few weeks away. We're like a week and change away from the trade deadline, which is going to be major. Um, Probably major. I mean, we've had some quiet trade deadlines in the past, and I think this is going to be one of those, to be honest. Just take, for example, the Miles Turner situation. He was just recently extended by the Pacers, along with a contract renegotiation for his pay for the ongoing 22-23 season. So he's pretty much locked in. And as of tonight, Sunday night, Jalen Smith didn't even take the floor. Um, Coach Rick Carlisle still chose to um, play Isaiah Jackson this time around. And from what I've seen, he's only choosing between Smith and Jackson to back up Miles Turner, which is, problematic because that just means you can't trust either Jackson or Smith in fantasy for streaming purposes, even given the unreliability or difficulty to predict who's going to play night in and night out, right? So we're we're definitely going to be looking at a few names here. Um, Off the top, there is somebody who I've weirdly found on my 16 team waivers. Well, FA pool because he cleared waivers, and that was Alec Burks. Um, I kind of understand why he came and had a what 3 to 5 game mini slump, you call it. But recently he's been playing well. I've since seen him picked up. But then if he was tossed in my 16 teamers, I'm pretty sure he may have been dropped in standard, 12 team leagues as well. And on that note, he would probably be my headline pickup for this coming week. The Pistons play 4 games, and Burks has been playing well. So definitely give him a look. He's going to provide you reasonably efficient scoring, decent points, threes, obviously. Not too heavy on the assists, but you could probably do a lot worse um, on the waiver wire. All right. Um, so before I continue, I think I should get to the questions that we already have in the comment section here on YouTube. And thank you, by the way, for coming in with these questions. I'm happy to address them and give you my insight. All right. So, hi, Eric. Hi, Ernest. Welcome back. You've been pretty much a regular. So, I hope that mostly the advice I've been giving has been pretty useful for you. In a vacuum, how do you rank the following streamers for week 16? Planning to drop McConnell today, Bruce Brown, Olenek, KJ Martin, Burks. Okay, obviously, I've already mentioned Burks. Burks automatically moves to the top of that list. Uh, I'm really intrigued about Avdia, who has been playing pretty well as of late. I'd probably put him in a tie almost with Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown tends to shine when one of the Nuggets key players are out. But when the Nuggets are healthy, he does tend to fade. So there's some level of iffiness about there. Olenek, yeah, he's been out a while, but is back now. I'm not 100% sure I would trust him because the the Jazz situation, the front court there is still in flux. I mean, we've seen how far Jared Vanderbilt has fallen ever since he was relegated to the bench. Um, but as far as the Jazz was concerned last night, um, they played, I believe, I believe they played Olenek alongside Walker Kessler. And how did that pan out? Let me see 1 second. Huh. But obviously, off the top, I'd take Burks going back. Olenek is still not that high unless you're really desperate for a big man. He can be okay. But I think with the current rise of Kessler, we might see we might have an issue with whatever it is that's going on in that Jazz front court. So I'm not that high on Olenek as much as I was uh, earlier in the season, right? Let me just pull up. Yes, because at the end of the day, you're going to see the offense flowing through Laurie Markkinen, which is obviously the case and obviously something that's understandable. So, yeah, I would prioritize Burks, followed by your choice of Brown and Avdia. But if you do need a big man, um, I would consider Olenek. I mean, think about it. He played 15 minutes alongside uh, fellow big men Kessler and Markkinen last night. Yes, it was his first game back, but yeah, I'm not too excited about him right now. I'd like him to get a few more games under his belt first before recommending him as a pickup, right? So I hope that works out for you. KJ Martin, sorry, I didn't bother mentioning him. I'm not really that high. Uh, he's been okay. I mean, he is rostered in my 16 team leagues, which is fine. But for a 12 teamer, I'm sure there are a lot of other options on the wire, and definitely Martin is too far a value drop from, say, somebody like Burks in his recent um, production. Okay, thank you. All right, so next question is coming from Janice. Which of these rookies find their rhythm and turn that proverbial corner after the break? Jalen Williams, Jeremy Sohan, and Jabari Parker. Sorry, Jabari Smith Jr. Jabari Parker. what, what decade am I on? All right, Sohan has already turned that corner, actually, as we speak, or as I speak, for that matter. He's starting to look a lot better. The offensive side of his game is starting to mature. Um, Jalen Williams has been solid. I have one share in my it's a 16 team league, but he's already solid. He does tend to kind of disappear, but I'm pretty satisfied, at least based on the league depth where I am using him. Jabari is still going to give you problems regardless of whether he starts playing better or not, based on his field goal, which has been pretty much inconsistent throughout the season. That said, I think we're going to slowly see him bounce back coming after his injury. So far, based on momentum, Sohan is there. But second half of season, I think uh, Jabari is going to play well. All right. I think all three off the top, first of all, Janice, all three of these rookies are going to be pretty good. We're going to see them provide some value in 12-team leagues, definitely. Maybe not as longer term holds, but definitely streaming value will be there. It is going to be pretty solid overall for those guys. Um, I'm biased because Jalen Williams, though he lacks consistency, um, has the most fantasy friendly line as far as efficiency is concerned. Jabari, I like him for his rebounds and threes, obviously. Sohan will tend to hurt you in the free throw department, even though he has been, I mean, to his credit, um, you know, shot a bit better from the line, which is good. So yeah, I like I like Jabari probably a little bit more than Jalen, only because that he probably can give me rebounding more consistently. Because even though that he was scouted to be a reasonably good 3 and D guy, what's been more surprising to me so far from the games that he's put together is his rebounding, which the Rockets sorely need. And I think if he focuses a lot of his effort in that area, his fantasy value will really benefit. So if he can give you something like 10 rebounds a game or even 9 point X per game, it's going to be very effective and give you two threes per game, something like that. He might end up shooting something like, a low 40s from the field, but that's not always going to be the case. But again, it's really close. I really am a fan of Williams. Um, and my only and just to stress, my only real issue with Sohan is his free throw shooting. I like the package and I like his current momentum, as I said. Okay. Um, Next question. Drop Killian Hayes. I assume that's Killian Hayes. Obviously, not Tilly, obviously. To pick up Burks, 8 cat 12-team roto. Yeah. You have uh an interesting situation there. I think okay, for first of all, for what it's worth, I think Killian will still end up bouncing back. He never really fully uh, got better um, ever since he got injured, and he's still working himself back. But if you're really after, and I'm going to start addressing these questions on a need basis. Obviously, Hayes is going to give you the superior assists and steals, but Burks will tend to shoot the ball far better than Hayes. Now, if you're trying to preserve those shooting percentages, you might want to go for Burks, and also assuming your assists are locked down, because we're talking roto here. You can't afford to leave one stat lagging because it'll drastically drag down your overall position in the league when it comes to roto. Excuse me. Okay. So yeah, but in a vacuum, I think Burks is trending well, um, and it's an okay drop for Hayes because of your league size, and that's only 12 teams. You'll be able to pick up somebody who is also viable, right? Okay, I see Air Dunks also has another question. I'll get to that now. Oh boy. All right. uh Better ROS stash, Patrick Williams or Eason? Terry Eason. All right. It's no secret I've been a fanboy of Eason's since summer league. Obviously, I picked up a lot of shares of Eason, um, but I think he did burn me. Now, uh, Patrick Williams, over the course of 2, maybe 3 games, has played incredibly. He's been providing a 2-1-1, like two threes, one steal, one block, or any variation thereof. So the counting cats are there. Easton has been playing decent and a little bit better lately, and I really think, and I'm almost 100% sure. Obviously, I can't be 100% sure, but almost that the Rockets are going to move on from KJ Martin and Eric Gordon. I think they're going to find buyers for those types of players, which will free up Eason. But that said, um, I am worried because there was this one time I was following a game and I was reading something on Twitter, and there was this writer who tweeted out that the coach Silas was giving Eason a bad look because there was this simply bad play that he was doing where he committed an unnecessary foul or something. Um, it's a small little nugget that stuck to me because it tells me that the coach is not completely satisfied with the way that Eason is executing. And if that's the case, he is not somebody who will be guaranteed minutes ROS, which is your concern. Unlike Patrick Williams, who's pretty much locked in to playing in his position. And if for whatever reason the Bulls decide to blow up the roster, ship off Zach Levine, Vucevic, or both, or whatever, and I don't think they're gonna bother uh, getting trying to get a huge return for Patrick Williams. Probably hold on to him, see where that goes. Um, yeah, so I'd probably say Patrick Williams. That said, um, I guess that's just me giving up on the idealized um, ceiling I've had in my headspace for Eason. I'm letting go of it. So yeah, Patrick Williams it is. All right, I see you have a lot of questions here, Doug, and I'll try to get through them as fast as possible. Is Covington now a 12-team pickup in Roto? No. I mean, yes. Let me qualify it. Yes, for the purposes of streaming, use him for a couple of games here and there because he's really been on and off. Uh, I mean, the consistency is truly my issue with Covington. Um, he is because he doesn't score. His value in Roto is almost completely tied to his ability to put out those steals, blocks, and threes. And if for some reason he doesn't deliver, I mean, he's already missed a few games now um, due to personal reasons, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just see where he is when he comes back. And even though Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have been kind of erratic in their games played due to this and that injury management or whatever so and so injury, uh, Covington is not uh, somebody I would recommend for 12 team. All right. Okay. Is Oladipo Oladipo still a hold? Yeah, yeah. Good question because I have one Oladipo share. I have him in a 10-team 8-cat head to head, and I'm asking myself that same question: Is he a hold? He's been seeing a bit of a drop in his production lately. I understand your concerns completely. Uh, Probably not, depending on the league depth and probably depending on who you're picking up. If you're getting somebody with a higher upside, right? Sure. That said, I like that long stretch of production that Depot gave us a while back. And who knows when the next Jimmy Butler I don't feel like playing, I have to sit because of so and so sore, whatever. Jeez. Uh, Anytime that that's going to happen, Oladipo is going to play better because he's going to step up. All right. So it would really depend on who you're picking up. But otherwise, if there's no one better, you might as well hold. All right. A question from Wayne T. Thank you, Wayne, for your question. Hey, Eric, who's the better pickup, Eason or DFS? Huh. Just to share, it was actually Terry Eason who I dropped for DFS the day before DFS actually got cleared to play, returning from his lengthy absence. So that answers your question. And that was before DFS was playing really well. But fine, Eason was also playing a lot worse back then. That said, there is no question that DFS is hands down the best defender on that Mav squad. He's just not big enough to guard certain fives, but he can technically guard 1 through 5. And that value cannot be overstated. That value to head coaches cannot be overstated. His minutes are as guaranteed as it gets, probably more guaranteed even than Spencer Dinwiddie, as far as I'm concerned. The only person who's guaranteed more minutes than DFS would be Luka Doncic when he's playing. Okay. Um. Yeah. So DFS, my short answer, definitely. All right. Janice is asking, who do you expect the most consistency? All right. Uh. Hmm. All right. This is in reference to Janice's earlier question concerning the three rookies of who I expect to break out after the All Star break. I said I basically gave a cop out non answer by saying they're all good, they're all decent, but who will be more consistent? Neither of them will. They're going to be. It's going to be a rocky situation. They're. I mean, none of them are Paulo Bancaro. None of them are. I mean, even if you look at Keegan Murray, he's been hot. Like last week, he led my team's 3 point shooting, but kind of faded off on Saturday. Uh, I'd like to think Jabari, and surprisingly, I'm gonna have to say Sohan next after Jabari, given that I think that there are enough suitors for Jakob Portal, and he might be on the move, and that Spurs front court is going to be way thinner than it is right now, and there will be a lot of um, opportunities for uh, Sohan to play undersized center, and I don't know if Pops is going to play him like that, but there will be opportunities for Pops to do so. Okay. Whew. All right. Another question. Air Dunks. Last question now. All right. Should I continue to stay patient with Isaac, or is it never going to happen this year? What is? Depends on what you mean. Uh, depends on what your expectations are. If by it you're gonna be happy with something like 6 rebounds, 1.2 steals, 1.1 blocks per game, and point eight threes, I think that could still happen. Um, and I think I've said it best in one of the blurbs I wrote on Isaac. I've been every time that the Magic play, I'm blurbing that team. I make sure to say that Isaac is going to require a lot of patience. He's going to be a luxury stash, and yeah, your concern is legit because he might not get there, even to the there that I just described right now. Um, if you're in need of more productive bodies, or filling Isaac's slot with another player who is performing better but with a lower ceiling, but playing better on a more consistent basis at the moment, I wouldn't blame you for swapping them out, swapping Isaac out for that guy. But yeah, I'm encouraged by his ability and performance that he showed while he was in the G League. Yes, I know that's the G League, etc., and this is the NBA. But it was more about how comfortable he was feeling post injury, and a lot of a player's ability to play well following a lengthy absence can also be mental. it's not just uh, completely physical as far as recovery is concerned. Uh, as somebody who's been injured in the past, sometimes your mind plays tricks on you and makes you question your unconscious confidence in whether you can walk down that step after, let's say, breaking your ankle, etc. So there is this process that's going on with Jonathan Isaac, and it's something that he just has to work through. Obviously, we cannot know for sure when he will get there or how he will get there, but that's definitely um, gonna be up to him. Um, so you're gonna have to ask yourself, assuming he doesn't get there, how punitive is it gonna be? How painful is the damage gonna be in your specific league? Is it gonna cost you wins, or can you afford to absorb the hits of a underperforming slot, because he's not a non-slot. It's not like he's completely injured and not producing anything, or it's not as if he's playing um, and providing you negative stats in certain areas, like a Russell Westbrook on a bad streak, for example. Okay, there. I hope that was um, suitable as far as um, a more clarified point of view on Isaac is concerned. So a couple of more comments. Thanks from Ernest and Janice. You guys are welcome. I totally enjoy talking about this, and I appreciate all of you who decided to drop by tonight. This is one of our highest live viewer counts in quite a while, actually, and I'm very happy to address these questions, and I'll get to them right away. All right. John is asking, hey, Eric, having a tough time with picking one, Eason or Sohan? Both are trending up lately. So wondering who you think I should prioritize. Thank you, 12 Team 9 Cat. I really think, all right, I'm hedging my bets here. Even though I shared earlier, I've faded a lot of my lofty expectations for Eason. He is trending well. But this is also with Jabari during a time that Jabari was missing time. Jabari's just still returning. Jabari's still feeling out his return, trying to get back to 100%. Uh, yeah. All right. Because I am, uh, when making decisions, we have to operate with certain lines of assumption. And if I'm going to operate on the line of assumption that KJ Martin and Eric Gordon are going to be shipped off, I'd say Eason. Yeah, I think he was just slow to get there, uh, but he's getting there, as you can see from the stats, from the production. He's getting there. Um, Overall, in a vacuum, assuming both players are hitting their stride, I'd say that Eason would end up having the more fantasy friendly line. Okay. So I prioritize Eason. And Eason and Sohan are almost like you said, in a very similar boat. If I was going to invest and only wanted to invest in one, it might be Eason in 12 team. All right. Very interesting question here. Hey, Eric, for the next 5 weeks, which is, oh, you're referring to the Steven Adams injury. Who is a better pickup, Kyle Anderson or Brandon Clark? Uh, Kyle Anderson still, for me. I like what Clark's been doing now that he's been inserted into the starting lineup along with Jaren Jackson Jr. That pairing has always looked good to me, not just on paper. Uh, but Kyle Anderson has just been solid. Uh, Aside from the odd, sucky game here and there, but Anderson has been solid. He just produces everything across the board, and for a glue guy role on a fantasy team, no one does it better than Anderson right now, as far as being on the wire as an option is concerned. That said, I do like Clark's field goal, and he does score enough to really make a push or make an impact in that category. So if there's a specific need for field goal, maybe Clark. But overall, in a vacuum, I'd still say Anderson. He's just too good. That said, uh, we might not be expecting Cat back in the next 5 weeks, but I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up close to the All Star break or immediately after, though. I know he was, I think the latest was he shared that it's actually a grade 3 strain, which is worse, obviously, but we'll see. Uh, okay. Oh, there's a follow up question. So, all right. From John O. And in reference to my first question about San or Eason, Bones Highland would be my drop. That's a safe swap, right? Yes, I agree. Highland is kind of in the same boat as far as I'm concerned with Eason. A lot of people had high expectations of Highland coming into the season. He's obviously fallen short, and I think that was pegged on Jamal Murray not being able to bounce back so quickly or as well as he's done. Um, the surge in Murray's value and production and minutes has left very little on the plate for Highland. And the short answer is like Highland was dropped in my 16 team league and is currently on the wire still. So no one's picked him up ever since he was dropped by the guy who is holding on to him since he was drafted on draft day. So no one wants to touch Highland right now. So there you go. Yeah, I'd take either of those guys over Highland at the moment. So yeah, definitely safe swap. Okay. Air Dunk says absolutely. Thank you. All right. We have a question from Nick. Oh, OG. This is a trade question. All right. All right. Gotcha. Let's just be clear. OG Ananobi and Buddy Hield for Booker and DeAnthony Melton. Wow. Let me just sit and stew on that for a while. All right. On one side, we have the OG injury. We have the lengthy Booker injury on the other. Then it becomes a matter of Hield versus Melton. The problem with Melton is that the Sixers are currently healthy at the moment. So healthy, in fact, that my wonderful fantasy basketball crush, Tyrese Maxey, has been struggling a bit coming off the bench. Hield has been a stunner as far as I'm concerned. He's been fantastic. I think Hield has um, totally surpassed and stomped my expectations. Just to put it bluntly, right there. Um, OG and Hield, because as good as Booker's ceiling is, and how much higher it is above that of Ananobi's, I think that the Suns are in trouble. And I think that they might, knock on wood, it doesn't happen because I have CP3 shares, might give up on um, the playoffs if their winning situation is going to end up going downward. I know they started playing a lot better when CP3 returned and Cam Johnson returned. But who knows? Like we said here, the Booker is really great and might be that turnaround factor for them. Uh, okay, the combination of Healed and OG, well, odds are, assuming this is head to head, win you at least 3 pointers every week. Okay, the steals will be kind of a wash. Even though Melton steals a lot, OG does steal enough, and so does Healed actually this season. So I wouldn't mind that plus OG plus Healed would score more on average than a Booker Melton. So we're talking about percentages here where Booker will be carrying it. Yes, Hield will um, invariably go on a cold night every so often. But if you're punting field goal anyway, I'd like the OG Hield there. I wouldn't trade for Booker right now. Or I, if it was a trade for Booker, I would want to pay less than than the price of an OG and Hield because Hield is just playing too well. Okay, thank you for that question, by the way, Nick. That was a bit of a stumper there. Um, yeah, because it's really stuck in my memory that when Devin Booker was playing and playing well at the start of the season, he was actually being uh, erroneously included in MVP chatter. Obviously, that was way too early and whatnot, but that was just pretty much a testament to how well he was playing before he got injured, right? So, yeah, I would agree. He has fallen short and not quite taken six-man role. I thought he would. Yes, John. I think you were referring to Highland. Yeah, see, Highland is definitely not lived up to expectations, but neither has Eason because, frankly, mine were too lofty. But there you go. Next question, Nick. Drop Josh Rich for Pat Bev. Yep. I like the way Pat Bev is playing alongside uh, healthy LeBron and healthy AD. His slow start is a memory, a distant memory by now. And think about it, Josh Rich does not really um, inspire upside, but Pat Bev with his defensive stats can swing those hard to find categories. Um, yeah, those hard to find defensive categories and swing those in your favor. So yeah, I definitely recommend Pat Bev. It didn't occur to me to include him in my list of where waiver wire pickups, but just last night here in my time in the Philippines, I was looking at Pat Bev for this coming week because I was looking at his stats and how well he's been playing. Uh, I wouldn't even mind dropping like a Thomas Bryant for him, given that how AD has retaken those center minutes and Bryant has been really falling. He's been dropped in a couple of my 16 team leagues, and that says a lot considering, which is actually unfortunate on how much Bryant has fallen post return of AD. So yeah, go for Pat Bev. I mean, we're talking about streamer level guys, even in a 16 team league here. So Pat Bev doesn't pan out, you can always just swap him back. But based on current trends, I like where Pat Bev's at. Much better. All right. Question from Walt. Hello, Walt. Melton or Jalen Williams, ROS? Sorry, I am a hardcore Melton fan. Um, Even though I just met Jalen Williams this season, and I do like him, and he's left a pretty good first impression for a rookie. It's really hard for me to let go of Melton. Uh, Towards the end, especially given how good, relatively good the Sixers are, I think they're going to win a few more games here and there. Towards the end, there will be a lot of rest situations for Harden, possibly even Embiid. Who knows, even for Tobias Harris. You're going to see younger guys like Melton, Tyrese Maxey have to take this take more load basically when those guys sit. And as we've seen, when Melton gets quality playing time, man, the guy rocks. And it's a matter of experience. Um, but I can see how you're seeing um, the similarities in their games as far as contributions from a fantasy standpoint is concerned. Both are capable of providing steals, even though Jalen Williams can be more efficient from the field. Uh, I trust Melton more. He's the more established player. He has enough of a background in terms of production that I am satisfied with what I'm gonna get, even though there will be low points. I know what those low points are. I am quite familiar with Melton's floor, and there is no way Jalen Williams is gonna touch Melton's ceiling. So I'm gonna go with the guy with the higher ceiling, and that's what you're after, really. If you're looking at the second half of the season, or I mean, not literal second half, but that's just the language we tend to use. But post All Star break, there, you're gonna want to hang on to guys with higher upsides, higher ceilings, and count on they come up with explosive games, and that's gonna swing matchups for you in head to head, for example. That's gonna be a big deal. Uh, Now is not the time to look for floors. If you are maybe in uh, the top one, two seeds of your league in head to head, and you're just cruising and you're wanting to solidify or consolidate your 5-4 um, winning strategy come the playoffs, then yeah, it's fine for to find those guys with stable floors. But for everyone else who's trying to up their position in the race towards sneaking into the playoff scenario, you want higher upsides, and you want guys who have the potential to really bust out a huge game with, let's say, in Melton's case, a ton of threes and a ton of steals along the way. Can Jalen Williams do that? Yes, but not to the extent that Melton does. And that's my answer. So I hope that that clarifies it a bit for you, Walt. Um, that said, 2 to 3 seasons from now, I would probably give you a different answer because I think Jalen Williams really has a bright future ahead. But just for this season, yeah, Melton. Um, yeah, next one. Oh yeah, all right. It's just a thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. No problem. And please, everyone who's here tonight, uh, again, thank you for coming. Like, subscribe, hit that follow button, etc., etc. Click the notification bell so that you know when I'm going to come on, and follow me on Twitter. Yep, you can ask me these same questions, not necessarily just once a week here in this live show, but anytime you need questions answered, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. That's me at Rotomancer. Yeah. So, John, that's the answer to your question. Anywhere I can follow you, it's your first time joining the show, hit me up on Twitter. Yep. All right. So, those were a lot of questions, and a lot of the guys that I had in my sites, like Avdia, Burks. Those were the guys headlining, and I was about to touch on Sohan. I think I did enough. I like where he's been trending. I like the risk of Portal uh, being able to be shipped by the Spurs, which should open up things for Sohan. And yeah, I like Covington, but not as much for 12 teamers. Um, you're looking at time and production shared with Nick Batum at times. But when you look at Covington as a very solid and potentially superior backup five to Zubats, and sometimes he earns more playing time than Zubats. And if that is your line, yes, but not for 12 team. I would spot stream him if you're playing in head to head. I don't think he will be a hold because there will be some situations, some matchups where the Clippers need Zubats' rebounding, Zubats' body in the paint. There's something that can be said about the value that a player brings, bringing his body, his physical presence, his physicality. Um, and we know um, that Covington is as rail thin as a handful of spaghetti, and he really is just a stretch five. He relies on length, intelligence, and a bit of his, athleticism and a lot of timing for him to get those defensive stats. A lot of it is IQ. He does beat out Zubats in the overall fantasy, sorry, overall basketball IQ department, but it's you're not gonna see Covington body up against the Joel Embiid, which you're gonna need Zubats to do, right? Let's just think about that. Even Zubats is gonna get into early foul trouble if he's guarding a Joel Embiid. Almost literally everybody in the NBA is gonna get into foul trouble guarding Joel Embiid face up. But I think that Covington will have obviously a harder time, and they're gonna need the Clippers, for example, would need somebody like Zubats to just not necessarily successfully block or expect to block Embiid, but to just put a body on another body, which he can do better than Covington. So, uh, but that said, it's nice to see that Covington finally started to show up. He completely disappeared earlier in the season, and it was was an absolute fantasy non-factor, which was disappointing because he's one of those old guys who can still do it. Um, if you want to look at it in another way, Covington is like a PJ Tucker who still actually does something for fantasy, despite the seemingly undeserving minutes played. Uh, so there, uh, that covers actually a lot of the names that I wanted to put out there. I will just the what I was bringing up earlier is I don't know why I was just moving around and it got closed for a while. This tab I have. One moment, I'll just bring it back up. Sorry. All right. Okay. Here we go. Rocco was playing well over the last week, and I can see why because of the 2.5 threes and those blocks. But again, he's not gonna hold this too much. Somebody like Jalen Duren has is quite notable to me because of the unexpected solid value he started to produce earlier. Remember, he's actually younger than Chet Holmgren, for example. I think, yeah, he's one of the youngest guys in his class, at least the youngest guys in the lottery. There, he's one of the youngest guys in the lottery, um, and Jalen Duren should definitely be worth picking up. And if somebody, let's say like Bobby Portis, was dropped after his injury, he's definitely somebody I'd recommend as a pickup stash and pick up and stash. A little bit of something for the deep league people. Uh, Pat Connaughton has been pretty hot from three, so I'll just throw his name out there. Um, I don't know why I'm mentioning him, but obviously he's probably rostered in almost everybody's leagues. I assume Cam Johnson is, you know, rostered. So there's that. Uh, DFS playing pretty well. I'm happy I was able to pick him up in one, two, three leagues before he came back actually. And the strategy and the thinking there, then the line of thinking there was that he is guaranteed minutes. He still had a bit of opportunity to make up for his slow start. He did produce subpar relative to his 2021-22 season, and he is coming along nicely. I think um, when a player is not 100% healthy while he's, let's say, playing through minor injuries, there is a time that when you're out for an extended period of time, you get to rest up and heal those minor injuries that are not necessarily reported or are too minor to be to get you on the injury report, and you just start to play better. once you've recovered from the major or the more major injury, um, and that sorts itself out, the rest of the minor injuries are are now non-issues, and a player can play to his best. And I think that's what we're starting to see from Dorian Finney-Smith, or DFS for short. So yeah, definitely, I like him all the way up to 12-team leagues, not just in the 16-teamers where I picked him up. Uh, okay, interesting guy, Seth Curry, 3-point shooting machine. Uh, he's somebody I'd recommend as a player to hold for as long as Kevin Durant is out. Okay, as long as Durant is out, Seth Curry's a guy that you can give you. Well, over the last two games that he played, he's given 4.5 threes at 55.2 field goal. I mean, even if just for 3 point streaming, you couldn't ask for more. So there. Uh, yeah. Uh, moving on. Derek White has been okay. Malcolm Brogdon has been okay, especially while Marcus Smart has been out nursing his nurserying these nursery rhymes. What the hell? Nursing, excuse me, his injuries. Both White and Brogdon have their own 12-team appeal. Both guys over the last week have been fluctuating inside, in and around the top 50 zone. They should be definitely rostered. Yeah. Oh yes, obviously. I completely forgot, and that's why I had to open up this page, because I wanted a reminder about who I wanted to discuss, and that was Precious Achua. Yeah, right, Precious Achua. So I know he's been playing out of his mind lately, um, and there's a chance that he might not have been picked up in 12-team leagues. Uh, I know he's been off the wire in my deeper formatted leagues, but yeah, I like Achua's performances have been precious. Woohoo! Um, and OG Ananobi has been ruled out nights in advance, which is never a good sign. That means it's very clear to the training slash medical staff that he is going to definitely need that night off. Yeah. So yeah, Precious has been amazing. Um, Hitting my head because I only was able to grab him in one league. Sadly, out of all the leagues that I've been playing in, I wish I had more shares. I'm very happy. And again, I really think and from the vibe I've been getting, the vibe, what's that? From the stuff I've been reading, actually, there's the Raptors are at a crossroads. They're clearly not good enough to win the Eastern Conference title. Let's be honest. They can upset a great Eastern Conference team on a random night. They're that good. But can they do it all or go all the way? I don't think so. They've been playing to even though they have the tools, the the current mix of players and where they're at right now developmentally, especially speaking about Scotty Barnes here, who struggled a lot in the early goings of the season. Yes, he's playing a lot better now, but they could be a team that blows it up. And if that team blows it up, um, teams like that will tend to hold on to guys who aren't as high value trade wise. Yeah, John has it right, and I'm gonna put it up there to share. Too much inconsistent shooting from on the Raptors. Amen. And I think that's that's been an issue with the Raptors, and that's why they're at risk of actually not even making the play-in tournament. Too many games where they shoot too inconsistently. Even mid middling team is gonna walk all over them. Okay, And if they can't convert on the break, etc., it's going to be issues right there. So, in line with the thinking that they're a team that might blow it up, um, I'm happy I have that one precious share. I think I picked up two Chris Boucher shares in 16 teamers. Let me just qualify that. In 16 team leagues, I don't recommend Boucher in 12 team leagues as of now. Um, I'm doing well in those leagues, and I'm playing the Boucher luxury stash just in case Toronto Raptors decide to blow it up game. And if he doesn't, I can always pick up somebody else. Last and before I close the night, because we're like 5 minutes or 4 minutes and change away from wrapping up the show, Jonathan Kuminga. He caught my eye recently, and I like what I've seen. I mean, when a guy, I know they're teammates, when a guy like Clay Thompson comments on your shooting, 3-point shooting form, that really says a lot. When he says that you have a smooth release and this and that, and I know it's more than just teammate complimenting. Yeah, those were um, I mean, genuine compliments as far as Clay was concerned. And we're watching Kaminga develop right before our eyes. Yes, Andrew Wiggins was shelved for a while. Uh, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kaminga gets consistent minutes moving forward. It's time that Steve Kerr starts developing Kaminga even more. Um, if you're looking at the younger players of the Warriors who've been trying to do this, let's transition from championship to competitive young team fantasy or delusion, depending on on how extremely you disagree with that approach of theirs or their belief that they'll be succeeding in that approach. Kuminga is the highest, the farthest along. Sorry, as far as learning curve is concerned. Um, but I think that developing Kuminga now alongside uh, Curry, Clay, Draymond, the big three, um, it's going to accelerate his learning, and I think Kerr knows that. And on that note, I think Kuminga um, will get enough opportunities. Because at the end of the day, um, even though the Warriors checkbook has been pretty much open as far as their commitment towards chasing another championship is concerned, there are going to be concerns, especially when it comes to Draymond Green, who is basically said he wants a max. And at his age, and as you can see from the decline in his play, he's not a max guy. I mean, sorry. Yeah, I know you're a defending champ and all, but you're not a max guy. I mean, Steph Curry is clearly a max guy. Even at this point, I wouldn't consider Clay Thompson a max guy, right? So yeah, I like Kuminga, and he's maybe not a 12-teamer, but even managers in 12-team leagues should keep their eye on Kuminga. The same way that even though that Steph is back and DiVincenzo has come down to earth a bit, DiVincenzo is the other guy you should hold on to as far as keeping them on your watch lists. All right. So there are lots of names thrown out, lots of questions answered. Again, a big thank you very much to everyone who's come along, dropped by, hung out, just asked questions. It was fun. I really enjoyed this. This night in particular. It's always great when there are a lot of questions, and I love sharing my thoughts and what I know because I do read a lot of content. I do create a lot of content and think about the game very deeply. And as far as minutes production, uh, potential production are concerned, I really, put a lot of time and effort into coming up with valid expectations or production production projections based on what I've seen so far. So, um, pretty much there's our hour. Again, thank you. Follow me on Twitter. Hit that like and subscribe. Uh, Yada yada yada. Um, Notification bell, etc. So, see you guys next week, and thank you again. Bye.